Obviously, the day was a memorable one for Dooley, who went on to claim 200 more victories in his 25-year coaching tenure in Athens, but it's just one of the interesting remembrances Dooley has of his team's tangles with the Commodores. "It was a hard-earned victory, if I recall," said Dooley of just his second game as a college head coach. "It was a good celebration in the locker room." Interestingly enough, before Dooley had a month's worth of games under his belt, he'd already experienced every possible outcome for a coach. The Bulldogs opened the season with a 31-3 loss to Alabama, then defeated Vanderbilt, then tied South Carolina 7-7. The cattle call. Dooley had his greatest success as a coach against the Commodores, going 21-1-1 for a .913 winning percentage. And you'd best believe he remembers the tie, which came in 1985, and the loss, which came in 1973. "For the most part, we had good success against Vanderbilt," he said. "However, there were a couple of times that were disasters, as far as I'm concerned. We got tied one time, which is like a loss, and then we lost to them one time, which was really devastating. But overall, we did pretty good." Perhaps Dooley's best Vanderbilt-centric narrative came sometime in the 1980s. He's not sure of the exact year, when Georgia recorded a satisfying victory over Vanderbilt, and the coach was introduced to one of his all-time favorite entertainers. "I was always a real fan of Eddie Arnold, and after a game I was introduced to Eddie Arnold, and I was very excited, and I asked him if he'd come in and meet the team, and he was very gracious," said Dooley. "I told the team after the victory that we had a real treat and told them, this is one of the greatest singers of all time, Eddie Arnold. And they all looked at me like, who in the hell is he talking about? So I was disappointed and embarrassed, and I probably should have known better how time flies. I came back on Sunday, when we had our team meeting, and had a few records of Eddie Arnold's, and educated the members of the football team, particularly on the song, The Cattle Call. And they all looked at me like I was crazy. If you think about the cattle call and these modern-day players, and they were modern at that time, well, it was probably an education for all of us." Coaching and floating. Another of Dooley's Commodore memories proved to be painful for both himself and his wife, Barbara. In 1980, Georgia was 5-0 and national title bound, and Vanderbilt was visiting for homecoming. The shops and streets of downtown Athens were festooned with spirited paintings, and 2 nights before the game, the Dooley family decided to drag the main and have a look. "We had just picked up Derek, who was playing in one of the community football leagues, and he had his gear on in the back seat," said Dooley. "We decided to drag the main and look at all the decorations." Barbara had been responsible for a lot of that in the 70s, when the spirit was not so good, and we'd met with a lot of fraternities, which led to the painting of the town. It was kind of a revision of spirit that had gone down in the 70s. All of a sudden, bang! This guy runs 2 red lights and blasts us. I'm bleeding everywhere, and Barbara winds up getting her spleen removed. Derek had his uniform on, so he was okay. I coached the game on Saturday, and I think they must have given me some type of pain pill, because I was kind of floating on the sidelines. I think men's golf coach Dick Copes was kind of holding me up more than anything. But we were okay. Every time Herschel Walker got the ball, he was scoring." Georgia won that homecoming encounter by a 41-0 count as the defense recorded its second of 3 shutouts that season, and Walker ran for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. As number 5, Georgia, 5-0-2-0 in the Southeastern Conference, gets set for another battle with Vanderbilt, 3-2-0-2, on Saturday. Dooley was asked if he enjoyed watching the 2017 edition of the Bulldogs, and he responded affirmatively, calling attention to the excellent defense being played. But he also extolled running backs Nick Chubb and Sony Michel for their decisions to return to the team for their senior seasons. "It's been inspiring to see the running game. I enjoy the running game," he said. "I think those 2 guys coming back helped the physical part of the game, but they also helped the mental part of the game as well, the spirit of the game." They set a tone of leadership by doing what they did because it meant this team was really important to them and they wanted to end their careers in a good way. The two of them coming back had a dual effect on the team, both from a physical standpoint and spirit standpoint.